What is good, NBA family, man, and welcome to the live stream, the latest live stream of the year, of the century, no matter how you want to look at it, man. We got a couple of communities in here today, man. So I'm going to give a shout out to all the communities that we will have in here rocking with us today. We have the Lakers Corner family, man. Shout out everybody from the Lakers Corner. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We have the Clutch Talk family as well, man. What's going on? See my brother, my brother Junior in the chat. Yes, sir. Appreciate you supporting. We got the Clutch Talk family. And we also have the Lakers Fast Break family, man. So wherever you are joining in from, welcome in to the latest hour and a half, no, whatever you want to call it. We're just gonna get into some basketball here, man. We got no real agenda. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Just want to start to get some of these live streams out here. Just talking basketball with you guys. I see that this interactive type content is what people are gravitating to. So that's where your boy's at, man. What's going on, Jay? Jay, my brother, my brother, my brother, my brother. Happy to have you in here, Jay. Hey, I'm gonna need you rocking and rolling for this stream, man. I want to have this a real interactive stream. I want to get into all your guys' questions, comments, all about the NBA. And we got Kurt in the building, man. Kurt, what's the deal, Kurt? Happy to have you in here rocking with us, man. Like I was just telling, Jay, Junior, and everybody that's locked in here. No real agenda for this stream. Just want to get into all type of basketball. If you guys have any questions or comments you want to get into, or you want to talk about certain moves, please drop that in the chat. I was planning on having somebody joining me, which I still think he is, but probably running a little late or something like that. So once the homie joins us, we could get into. He was actually at Summer League, which I unfortunately could not have been at this season, but he was at Summer League, so he's going to give us his experience about about his time at Summer League. Kurt, see, Kurt, this is why I love Kurt, man. Even though we have so many different, fan bases and communities here, we got the Lakers Corner, we got Clutch Talk, and we got Lakers Fast Break. Kurt talking about the Lakers, man. This is why I gotta love it, man. Kurt, when you say center, you talking about just like at the 5 position, or are you talking about just like the main prospects that we want? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know what you was getting at there, Kurt. Um, but as far as everybody else, man, hope you guys are having a great day. Yeah, at the 5, man, Kurt. Let's see. I mean, the market's thin at this point. I'm not gonna lie. The market's thin. Pretty sure that Jonas Valanciunas already got picked up, so that can't be a target. But if he wasn't, you know what I'm saying? If he wasn't picked up, I think that would have been the ideal way to go, just to get a big to who can still stretch the floor, right? But also be able to bang with other players to just be able to preserve Anthony Davis. I talk about all the time, man. Even though we just seen Anthony Davis play one of his most successful, or I guess durable seasons, playing 77 games or 76, I believe. Still an injury prone player. Joe said, "What the hell is this?" Joe, you know what it is, man. We are getting into all NBA talks, Joe. Come join if you want, Joe. You want me to send you the link? Let me know if you want me to send you the link, Joe. We're just going to be getting into all NBA talk, talking about Lakers, talking about NBA, talking about all around the league, man. What's going on? I do not want to mispronounce your name. Oh, there goes the ring light, y'all. You as you could tell, it got a little darker. What does it say? Kelly Tube Mama? I think that's what it is. Yeah, hello. How are you doing? Let me see what Kurt said. Yeah, Darren Sharp presses a chewer. I mean, absolutely right. I don't think Sharp is. If you're referring to, are you referring to the other one, the weaker one that's on the Nets, or are you referring to um the other one that's on the Blazers? But I think Precious Achiuwa would be a solid pickup. I don't think he would fill the exact need that we are looking for, to be honest with you, because I feel like he's more of a small ball 5 or a small ball big. Kurt said, let me see what Kurt said. Kurt said, just mean we need help at the 5. Absolutely. We absolutely need help at the 5. And this is something that I talk about all the time, when I'm referring to Lakers Nation, is I talk about the fact of, like, you know, when we were as dominant as I can remember as of recently, which is 2020, we won the championship. Like, look at that roster, man. That roster had so many great bigs. We had AD, we had Dwight, who still had years left in him. We had JaVale. So it was like it allowed Anthony Davis to be able to get the breaks that he needs and our defense to not dramatically drop off. And that made the biggest difference here for us. Let me see. Let me see. The person that's supposed to be joining me is texting me right now. But let me see. I'm gonna tell him I'm live right now. I'm live right now, brother. I'm live right now. We live in effect, man. Straight out the Bay Area. Where's everybody joining in from, man? Where's everybody joining in from? Let me know. Do I have any other Bay Area natives in the house, man? Any Bay Area folks in the house? Uh, Trying to bring up other names than Jonas Valanciunas. Yeah, I feel like Jonas Valanciunas is usually the biggest name to come up, but that's also probably would have been one of the best fits. I feel like on this Lakers team as to what we have so far. But you know what, y'all, I kind of want to get into some with y'all. I was planning on getting into this with our guest so we can get his thoughts as whenever they join. And Junior's from SoCal, still repping Cali, not NorCal though, but still repping Cali. But anyway, one thing that I did want to get into with y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen for this, y'all. So I don't know if I'll be able to see. Actually, I will still be able to see the chats, but I'm gonna share my screen. I want to show you guys a video, man, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this video because there's some very interesting takes in this video, man. So let me go ahead and open this here, man. We got Austin Rivers, man. Shout out the true nepotism, Austin Rivers. But I'm gonna play this video, and I want you guys to give me your thoughts on this. All right.
What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great start of the week, great Monday. I'm watching this USA basketball, right? And I've been watching all their games close. And it doesn't take a trained eye to notice who have been the two best players, the most impactful on USA basketball. Granted, KD has not played, so, I'll take that into account. But so far, the two best players are two Lakers players, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right? So when you start thinking about that, I'm sitting here watching this game thinking, why are the Lakers so far away, or why does it feel that way? And, I guess J.J. Redick is right. They asked him, how far away are you? He said, we're not far. We are a piece or two away from competing. Maybe he is the piece. They got the new coach. They got new, staff, etc. All I've heard this past year is how the door for LeBron James in winning championships in Los Angeles is closed. And the more I watch USA basketball, I just can't agree, or I'm sorry, I can't disagree anymore. I am watching the Avengers, the team with the best players of the best players in the entire world. The best of our league is on this team, right? And the two best players so far are two guys that play in the same team in the NBA, two Lakers players. So I ask you, what do you think? How far are the Lakers away? Is it just a couple role player, exchanges, or, are we talking something minimal? Because they don't need that much more. I'm watching them be the best players on this team. And if they're on the same team in the NBA, it's just bewildering why we haven't seen them compete at a championship level since the bubble, considering they've been on the same team. They're as dynamic as a duo can come in the NBA. It's interesting. I don't know. It would be exciting to watch them this year with JJ and see what.
All right, y'all. The rest of that, he basically just continues to, talk a little bit about how he's interested to see what's going to come up. But first, let me put Kurt's thoughts here up on screen because I appreciate you, Kurt, for giving us your thoughts here. But let me see what he said. He said Austin isn't wrong. It goes to show what happens when you have a talented supporting cast. AD and Braun play less minutes and become more effective. Yes, Kurt. Yes, Kurt. This is what I like to see, Kurt. This is what I like to see. And this is the first actually thought that I had when I heard this comment, because I'm going to be honest, guys, even though I am a Lakers fan, I run the Lakers corner, always here with Lakers Fast Break family, I still do think, guys, that we are just not we're not contending. Like, I don't think with the roster we have, and as of today, as of Thursday, July 25th, we are not contenders. And I think that that is the biggest reason is because we do not have the supporting cast. We have the 1A, 1B, or 1A, 1A, however you want to look at LeBron and Anthony Davis. They are still, and I will stand on this, and I say this all the time, still the most dominant play in the NBA today is a LeBron James and Anthony Davis pick and roll. As long as if you can have shooters around them, man, you got you a whole system to run your entire offense off of. But if you could just have LeBron James and Anthony Davis take over games, you could do that, right? But the issue with the Lakers is they do not have those correct pieces around LeBron and Anthony Davis. They don't have those shooters around him. I'm happy we picked up a player like Dalton Connect, who is going to be a good shooter, who could be a great piece to put on the perimeter. So when you got LeBron coming downhill with a head of steam off for a high pick and roll with Anthony Davis, he can have a shooter to go in the corner, and he can force the defense to now make a decision: is am I going to now cut LeBron off and come help side and leave this shooter open for LeBron, a man who's got one of the greatest IQs to hit that, or am I going to stay stuck on the shooter and now let LeBron get to the hoop? But we don't have that kind of roster construction, man. Do you feel like Rob is being too patient? No, I feel like Rob. It's not even that he's being too patient. I just think he just makes dumb moves. To be honest with you, just straight up, because I think not. I think I know the reason why that 2020 roster got deconstructed. Hands up in the air, man. Hands up in the air. The reason why that 2020 roster got deconstructed was because they started trying to play a different brand of basketball. They demolished that entire team, and I think that a big reason of that is Rob. I think a big reason of that is Rob. Also, I talk about this all the time. Rob and Jeannie, they don't run this Lakers organization like this is a NBA franchise. They run this thing like this is a family business that needs to make them money every single year. And actually, shout out Junior, man. Junior's somewhere in the chat here. He was one of the first people on the stream, and I remember one time he told me something. He's like, man, like you got to think about it, like Jeannie and Rob. Besides their little, I mean, sorry, not Jeannie and Rob, the Bus family. So really, just Jeannie. Besides, their little real estate ordeal that they had going, which I'm not trying to knock. It's not that it's not as much money, but they're getting the bulk of their money from the Lakers. When you look at like Steve Ballmer, Mark Cuban, or other owners around the league, this NBA team is not a bulk of their revenue. They're getting the bulk of their revenue from somewhere else. So this is just cherry on the top. So they willing to go into, the luxury tax. They willing to spend more because they know they got it, coming somewhere else. But somebody like Jeannie, she like, oh man, like I need to make sure we straight financially, which I feel she got a family to take care of. But you ruin an organization and you ruin my heart. Come on, Jeannie. Let me see what Jay said. Jay said, who is the most useless player on our roster? I'd say Cam Reddish. Wow, would you really say Cam Reddish? Useless. I would actually say Joe. I heard it on my mic. Where you at, Joe?
How you guys doing?
We are doing great, Joe. Are you going to be joining on camera, Joe, or are you incognito today?
I'm mobile right now, so when I'm mobile, I can't really show face.
Okay,
mobile's probably going to be a regular thing, at least in the daytime, just because I have to be. Late at night, I'll be fine, usually facing everyone. But I did get the message that you were going to be on, and I did get a chance to see Mr. Rivers' video, hearing him blabber. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that so I can retort.
Okay, well, did you get a chance to hear what I was saying about it and what Kurt said about it? Or
I might have missed it. I might have missed it at the last second.
Okay, got you. Well, I could just pull up here what Kurt was saying, but Kurt basically said that Austin's not wrong. Goes to show what happens when you put talented supporting cast around LeBron and Anthony Davis. They play less minutes. They're a lot more effective. And I was, kind of agreeing to the same lines that I was saying, like LeBron James and Anthony Davis have been by far dominating Team USA, but that's because they've been playing around like 20 minutes a night because they have the greatest supporting cast around them to where they can go to the bench and you don't go down by 20. You don't go on 10 2-3 minute scoring droughts. But on the Lakers, we do not have that supporting cast, and I think that all starts at the top. With Jeannie and Rob just not making smart decisions and not building a good enough supporting cast to allow LeBron and Anthony Davis to play 20 minutes. But what's your thoughts, Joe?
We've gone over this here the last month or so. We don't know if there's going to be a deal between now and October. It's likely because that's been the MO of Rob Pelinka, is not really being able to do much other than collect other people's stuff. And that stuff that he's gotten has played positive roles here and there, but nothing of substance, I would say, when it matters. I think D'Lo's his best transaction in terms of something that he had to go get while he was getting rid of something, of course. And until there's a legitimate starting center on this team and at least one more rotational player that can be trusted, there's not likely a chance in hell that this team is going to compete for a championship. And then you still have to say that, well, if Jared Vanderbilt is healthy, if Gabe Vincent can start shooting, if D'Lo doesn't come up short during the playoffs, if LeBron lasts another 82 games, is AD going to last 76 games out of the 82? There's too many variables in this discussion. And it wouldn't be a problem if they had some substance that could cover some ground. And that's the problem. And it's a problem that has been there and now is going to be even harder to do because of the new system. And we've criticized the new system in the NBA because the NBA seems to want to turn into the NFL, where greed is all they want. And proof just came through right now with the whole Warner Brothers deal, matching the Amazon deal, and essentially getting rid of what some have said is the greatest sports show that's ever been created. And I'm someone who watched Inside the NFL for decades before it turned into the pile of shit that it is now. I'm talking about when it was back in the 80s with Nick Buoniconti, Chris Collinsworth, and Len Dawson. And here you have people who are begging you to not get rid of this. And they went ahead and did exactly what Roger Goodell does in the NFL. He tells you to eat shit. You're going to eat what I'm going to give you. And that's what Adam Silver has done with this deal. Because Amazon's the new shiny toy. They want to be that whole, we want to be involved with the streaming because that's what everybody's doing. And it's unfortunate because we've already seen two things in the NBA that have dropped. The two things that made the NBA better than the NFL: free agency and the trade deadline. They pissed that away. And then, of course, they pissed away the whole inside the NBA thing. So I'm sitting here scratching my head. You take the three biggest assets you have in your league and you flush them down the toilet. Why? I'd like to ask Adam Silver why. I'd like someone to ask him why. And I'd also like them to ask him why did you create this current situation in the NBA? And I mean, was it really, it all goes back to since 1998, the league has been trying to get the Lakers to suck since then. David Stern especially. And they finally did it. You're talking about Anthony Davis and LeBron James is on your team, and you're a playing team every year. That's how bad the supporting cast is. That's how bad the coaches have been, and that's how bad management has been. And this is not something that happened last year, 2 years ago. This has been a 4-year rut of bad decisions that was masked by a Western Conference final appearance, which apparently Laker fans now get jazzed about. Yet they're not paying attention to the fact that they've only won two playoff series, I should say, in 4 seasons with LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the team.
Yeah. I feel like, long story short, why in the world have we not put the right supporting cast? I mean, actually, not why. You kind of you kind of just told us why, as why we can't have and can't put a supporting cast around LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and I feel like that's literally the biggest reason that we can't go anywhere. And just like how you said it, and I think that's such a great point, Joe, about how like people will talk about Lakers success, and then I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, look, the Lakers just made the Western Conference Finals like 2 years ago. I mean, now like 3 years ago." But I think that's such a like respectfully, like I mean to say this respectfully to and if anybody's like a Hornets fan in here or like a a Timberwolves fan or something like that, you're like, oh wow, we made the Western Conference Finals, we made the Eastern Conference Finals. Like that's not something for Lakers Nation to be proud of. So I'm right there on board with you for that, Joe. And we got some
asking why this isn't happening is in business, relationships can make you great, even if you're not fully equipped with the resources. And I'll give you a good example that makes sense. Look at Steve Ballmer, since somebody had mentioned him on the chat. Look at Steve Ballmer in LA. Steve Ballmer is everyone's favorite owner in a lot of ways, right? He can spend more than anybody. He's enthusiastic. He was able to broker a new stadium deal or arena deal, I should say. And I guarantee you, if it wasn't Steve Ballmer who owned the Clippers would have stayed at the crib for the next 80 years. That's for sure. Ballmer made that happen, and you should be given credit for that because very few guys actually go out of their way to, pay for things on their own a little bit. They didn't pay for all of it, but he paid for a lot of it. And even with that, even with all those resources and the ability to outspend and deal with luxury taxes and not have to worry about it, it still didn't matter. It still didn't matter. The relationships for Steve Ballmer are different. Rob Pelinka relationships are different. Why? They're just new. They're new here. And sometimes you can have too much money. I'll give you a good example of politics, let's say, in the country. People sometimes think that if you spend more money in politics, you have a better chance at winning. There's some truth to that, but there's also a threshold where you're too rich. You can use too much money, and that can backfire on you. So I think Steve Ballmer is in that space. It's funny. Other rich owners resent that. They resent the richer guy, a lot of times. And then you look at Rob Pelinka, whom got a position due to the fact that he knew somebody as big as Kobe Bryant, but did he really earn that spot? And are these GMs going to respect Rob Pelinka because they had to earn it the hard way? They had to go do videos. They had to go do whatever it is as assistant coaches. And then, of course, the Lakers keep doubling up and tripling this BS by hiring a head coach who's never even been an assistant, who's been insulting to the history of the NBA and to a lot of people that are involved today. And they use it as this, he's outspoken or he's telling you the truth, Okay, I guess you can go ahead and believe that if you want. But at the end of the day, if you have aspirations to be in a business, you probably don't want to insult the people that have made that business. See, I don't want to be in the NBA. I don't want to hang out with Jeannie Buss or Rob Pelinka, or I don't have anything to do with any of these people. I don't like them. I can't work with them anyways. I don't have any respect for them. It's not even in their basketball situation. It's who they are. I don't particularly like them. So I'm never going to be working for them, and I'm never going to be hanging out with them. So I can say whatever the hell I want on some podcasts online. But for JJ Redick, you think all this genius stuff that you hear about him, you think that he wouldn't be so tone deaf in being this guy that's insulting people that are in the industry, that have been in the industry, been in the league for 50, 60 years. And now you're a part of that fraternity. And are they going to make deals with you, Rob? Are they going to make deals with you, JJ Riddick, when you really need something? That's where that relationship over the years plays a part. And if you don't have that, you find yourself in these positions. You see Ballmer losing Paul George. You see the Lakers deteriorating everywhere except the top two, essentially. Well, I wouldn't say Rui is bad or Reeves is bad, but they're not good enough. It's not enough. You have the two best players, arguably, right now in the Olympics, who are on the same team in the NBA. Yet you can't even get a simple home court advantage seeding in the playoffs so that you have a shot at competing for a title.
Yeah, that is. I mean that speaks to poor management. And honestly, what I want to get to is, because this is honestly a conversation that I have a lot with my friends, with just people I meet. But this right here, this comment right here, I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name, Osmosis Joe, whatever this person, Jonas, or whatever this person's name is. This comment and this comment, the one he made about the bubble, I really want to get into this, because this is something that I truly believe, not this comment, but I believe that people who discredit that 2020 championship do not understand real basketball. In my opinion, they think that this is NBA 2K. People who discredit that 2020 championship are the guys that are sitting at home, living in their mother's basements, and have never been put in a real life situation. And they think that these guys are like robots. Okay. I'm going to give everybody a reality check. If you didn't know, these guys are also humans. These guys also have kids, wives, families. These guys also need to get in, they need to lock in mentally to perform at the highest possible level on the court physically. They need to lock in mentally. And the way some of these guys lock in is by seeing their loved ones, being with their loved ones, being in their sanctuary. Like, for example, I'll give LeBron James as an example. But prior to the 2020 bubble, he had been in the league, I think, for like 19 years, something like that, right? So for 19 years, he did the same thing before games. He had a routine before games. And now, because of this entire world pandemic, and he can't touch nobody, he can't be 5 feet from nobody, he can't do this, he can't do that, everything changes. And now you are put in an atmosphere that's like, boom, you're isolated, and now go ahead and do that. And it becomes like real, like check ball. So like really, like let's hoop. Like it becomes really real life. Let's hoop. I understand the aspect of the no fans, but you guys got to understand that even Paul George, I mean, I don't know if there's too many Clippers fans in here. I would hope not, but no, I'm just kidding. Everybody's welcomed. But even Paul George himself came out and said, yeah, like it was just too much for me mentally. I couldn't do it. That's when the entire whole pandemic P thing came out, because it was like, oh, well, this guy, can't get it done. He came out himself, said the pressure was too much. He said he couldn't do it. Dame on the Knuckleheads podcast came out and said, nah, that bubble championship was real. That shit was hard. It changed everything about anything these guys have ever known. So if it changes everything that these guys have ever known, and now they need to basically adjust and still perform at the highest level. If you won the championship, in reality, it makes it harder, to be honest. So that's one thing that I really wanted to get into. And I know people are going to have comments to say about that. And I would love to just shoot the shit, go back and forth, because that's something I will believe to my dying grave, you guys. These dudes do not just get up out of bed and roll over and play basketball. They're real life humans who need to be ready to get to that level. And you can't get there when you're isolated in a freaking bubble and haven't seen your kids for 6 months. So
the argument is almost to the point now where it's no longer important to even discuss it. It's similar to the Jordan versus LeBron discussion, and most of those who argue that I would say, argue that fallacy is, and that's what it is. It's impossible to really compare. And at the end of the day, I base it off of the actual skill set. Like I never saw anybody better at basketball than Michael Jordan. Looking at accomplishments, looking at the abilities, the size, all that. Yeah, sure. LeBron is a freak in terms of the physical part. But I've never, you guys, no one saw Jordan play in the late '80s and how physically freakish he was. And if you all think that he wouldn't translate till now, then you're ignorant. And most of those who argue it are ignorant by not being alive during that time. So if you didn't watch Michael Jordan as a coherent young adult or adult in general in his prime, you're never going to really understand the difference. You're watching highlights and you're reading stuff on social media. Don't ever talk about that argument because you have no basis and no credibility towards it. I do. I saw Michael Jordan in his prime. I saw Kobe Bryant in his prime and LeBron James in his prime. I can make that argument because I watched those games. I watched them live. Folks, watching a game live is completely different than watching it on highlights and watching, let's say, taped DVDs or whatever. You don't have that same feeling. You don't know when he made that last shot in Utah. I saw that live. You can't duplicate that feeling if it's taped. You can't. And if you didn't experience that feeling, you don't have any room to discuss it. Just like I don't have any room to discuss, well, who's better, Will Chamberlain or Bill Russell, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Russell, or Will Chamberlain. I don't know. I saw highlights of Will blocking a skyhook one time. I don't know. That's the only thing I've ever seen in terms of their competitiveness and how they played each other. And as far as the bubble discussion, LeBron James has had all of his championship discredited except for one. 2016, there's a small faction that says that Kyrie Irving made the shot in Game 7 in Golden State to help him win a championship, which is comical because, and I want you all to pay attention to this real quick. LeBron James, in the 5 major categories, points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. I'm going to say this again, John. The 5 major categories, points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks.
Trust me, I know.
LeBron led in all 5 categories, not just Cleveland, Golden State too. That might have been the greatest performance
absolutely
that's ever taken place in a finals statistically, and obviously he won, so there's credibility there, right? You can't sit there and be a moron because you feel like you all know I have some gripes with LeBron, but it's not really about basketball. It's about his attitude and his personality. But the fact that you would downgrade that finals and just simply put, well, Kyrie made the shot at the end. What, are you going to give Steve Kerr the championship in '97 when he hit the last second shot? Are you going to give it to John Paxson instead of Jordan '93 when he hit that game-winning shot in Phoenix? Guys, if you're all going to argue this, and there's not enough people here, one day when we're really big, it's going to be even better. You know, the old timers on this show are going to really get a chance to see some fire. If you don't got the ammo to come at us with some stuff, you're going to get shot. You're going to get destroyed because you don't have the knowledge we do. You don't have the memory we do. I got the stats, folks, and I was there. I have the stats. I have the memory, and I was there live. LeBron James in 2016, LeBron James in 2012, LeBron James in 2013, and definitely LeBron James in 2020. Because while everyone else was worried about skanks and chicken wings, the Lakers were honing down and running over everyone. That's not their fault. Everybody played by the same rules. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to win the championship and then throw the championship trophy away and say, well, we weren't in LA when we won this. We weren't in Miami when we won this. Though you might as well just go talk. You might as well just go take the championship away from the San Antonio Spurs in '99. Then they only played 50 games. They played an 8 seed New York team, right? Like, you're gonna have to come back, folks, with some stuff instead of your diluted, weak, insecure comments and ignorant comments.
Yeah, Joe.
Oh, and Osmosis Jones, he just wrote something. I'll let you go. I'll let you talk here, Johnny. Sorry.
No, you're good, brother.
So he wrote, Kobe fans hated him. And the reason why Kobe fans hated him is because it's a competition thing, right? That's what happens. People, we hated Jordan too. Kobe versus Jordan for the longest time. LeBron versus Kobe. LeBron now versus MJ. That's competitive things. I get that part. But, you know, the hate or the discredit of accomplishment is always going to come from losers.
Love that.
Always going to come from losers. Guys that haven't won shit, that don't do shit, that sit on their thumbs, on the computer, on their phones, really. And this is the result. What are you going to tell LeBron James? What are you going to tell him? Oh, you didn't win. He's going to look at that ring and go, I think I did win it. Oh, yeah, I think I won 4. Yeah. I think they exist. Yeah. So what now? What are they going to do? Go back and play with their Star Wars figurines? Like what does that even mean? So yeah, ignorance is just it needs to be called out at this point. Any team, any of the other 29 teams, and I don't care what you say. If any of the other 29 teams won the championship in 2020, they would be sitting there with their championship shirts, looking at that banner in their arena and going, hell yeah, this was legit. And if you say that, if you wouldn't say that, you are full of shit.
Tell him, Joe. Tell him, Joe. That was amazing. And honestly, I'm happy that we're on the same page because I swear, like, this is like, that's the one argument that can just like rattle me up like so quick. Cause I'm saying the bubble ring doesn't count. Like, that's just honestly, respectfully, guys, it's stupidity. And then also for this Osmosis Joe guy, he said, yeah, Lakers fans hated LeBron before 2020. Absolutely not true. Just exactly what Joe said. The only time I did not like LeBron James was when Kobe was still competing in the league. It was when Lil Wayne was dropping songs like, don't worry, LeBron, get him next year. But that was because, like, just like how Joe said, it was in competition. LeBron was the next one up, and Kobe was kind of like already starting to come down a little bit. So it was like all LeBron fans were like, oh, he's already better than Kobe. He's already better than Kobe. We were like, yo, chill. The man's like 22, 23 years old. He's not better than Kobe. In my opinion, and I'll just be honest, like Kobe Bryant is the reason why I got into basketball, but it got to a certain point in my life where I had to put the favoritism aside and said, okay, you know, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. Like LeBron James surpassed Kobe. And I mean, I know, Joe, you feel differently, but in my opinion, LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. Like when you just look at everything into collectively. So I just think it's crazy to me, the nonsense that comes out of these honestly losers' mouth. And I love that you said that, Joe. Next time somebody discredits the bubble championship, I'm going to say discrediting winning always comes from losers. Straight up, Joe. I love that.
And you know, it came, a little bit of that was it was from the Michael Jordan documentary, and they're explaining about him being a tyrant. I'm paraphrasing, of course. People called him a tyrant, but then you see guys like Bill Wennington and Luke Longley and all these guys saying, yeah, he was a dick, but we won. And it's about results, folks. You know, stubbornness, if you're right, isn't stubbornness. Being OCD or meticulous and being right isn't OCD or, you know, it's, if you're right, if the results are there, you did it right. And I don't, you know, speaking of people hating players, you know, it's funny. I mentioned this probably a year ago. I haven't brought it up in a while, but people didn't like Kobe in 2004 14, 15, and 16.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about like rival teams. I'm talking about in general. The media was calling this, calling him, oh, he just got a big contract, and now it's a detriment to the team to be able to, rebuild on the fly, and he's not a good teammate. All this stuff, and we'd heard about Kobe's quote unquote selfishness and ball hog issues, and I'm sitting here going, how can you be a ball hog when the first 14 seasons of your career, you were in the finals half the time in one of the most competitive conferences in NBA history, and you won in two different, this is an arguable comment, two different dynasties. I don't really consider the second run a dynasty. I think if had they beaten Boston in 08, it would have been. But two eras, and Kobe Bryant was still there. And that was with a 3-year break of rebuild, right?
Yeah.
We never got a chance to see Kobe Bryant in his prime, really, with a dominant team. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that Kobe Bryant was the first perimeter high school player to come out. The first perimeter basketball player to come from high school to the NBA. He didn't play a lot the first 2 years, and then the third year was a strike season. He didn't play his first full season in the NBA, really, until 2000, 1999, 2000, and they happened to win a championship that year, and you all know the rest. So you have to look at the circumstances. You have to look at the details on all this. So LeBron James, again, my gripe with LeBron James is what's held him back in winning more, because he should have won more. Winning 4 championships in 22 seasons it's not a good percentage, especially with his talent and his ability and the chances he's had to play in championship level games. But you also can't blame him for 17 and 18. You can't blame him for 15. You can't blame him in 07. 07, they had no business going there. No business. 15, he had the team up 2-1. He had the team up 2-1 against the Warriors. He lost Kyrie and Love, and he made Dellavedova a player, the second best player on that team. Got him to 2-1, and then, of course, they ended up losing the next 3. And I still argue that he still should have been the Finals MVP. He should have been the second player in NBA history to have an MVP in a losing Finals. He was the best player in that run. He wins in 16, and then Durant screwed everything up going to Golden State.
Man. You know what? Can I say this, Joe? And I've gotten ridiculed for it a lot, only because I live in the Bay Area. But to this day, another thing that I will die on the ledge on is Kevin Durant's move to go to the Golden State was the weakest move ever in sports history, in my opinion, at least from what I've seen. From what I've seen, it was the weakest move in sports history. You mean to tell me Kevin Durant, which at the time, if you were watching basketball at the time, you knew that Kevin Durant was first ballot Hall of Famer already. You already knew who Kevin Durant was. At that point, he had already said that whole, you know who I am, man. I'm KD. So we all knew who he was. And for him to, and the Oklahoma City Thunder to be right there, about to beat the Warriors, they're up 3-1. They end up blowing that lead, right? They end up blowing that lead, and the Warriors come, beat them, and then you go and join that team. To me, that I can't even do that when I go hoop at like 24-hour fitness. Like if a team has been beating me all day long and all game long, like I gotta put a team together to beat them. I can't, especially if like they're already good enough, right? Like especially if they're already good enough, because like, a lot of people when I talk about this, they're always like, "Yo, well, LeBron went to a super team." Okay, well, LeBron's situation was absolutely totally different. When he was on the Cleveland Cavaliers and went to the Miami Heat, the Cavs did not have the same team that Kevin Durant had when he was in Oklahoma City Thunder. That Oklahoma City Thunder team went to the freaking didn't they go to the finals the year before that or something like that, or the year after? I know that they had a good team, but that Cleveland Cavaliers team that LeBron had was absolute garbage, and they were not putting him in a position to win. Hence why he put power to the players and said, "Yo, if you're not going to put me in a position to win, I'm gonna go put myself in a position to win." But Kevin Durant, man, his move was just the softest move in sports history, in my opinion. And it just, as a basketball player, yes, bucket getter. Probably, if you ask me, John, you need a player to go get a bucket. I'm probably gonna pick Kevin Durant, to be honest. Like just one bucket, go score on whoever. I'm probably picking Kevin Durant. But as far as like, that tenacity and that hustle and that like respect I'll have for him for having that, I could never have that for him after making that move, to be honest.
It's a lot of, you have to have been there to explain it, and you also have to have the memory to do it. I'm a sports junkie, and I also have a really good process. Memorization, whether you're good in math, whether you're good in literature, whatever, and you have a knack for remembering things you read or formulas you solve. When you get really good at remembering stuff, it's a process of elimination. Your process of elimination becomes almost freakish. Like I know who won in certain years and what happened in certain games because I can eliminate the 100%ers that weren't there. I know for a fact that the Supersonics hadn't won a championship the last 10 years because they moved to Oklahoma City. Like things like that. I know that sounds funny, but that's how the brain works. When you're really good at remembering that stuff. When you do a show like this, in today's podcast, social media world, most of the podcasts, most of the shows are about the host basically being in love with themselves and the crowd being in love with that host. I don't know if I identify with that. My thoughts on the show is to educate, to back up what we're talking about. The only way you can back it up is either by research or by knowing what you're talking about, or both. Both is something that I'll get into when I have the means to do it. If I have to go and say, oh, well, I got to go see what happened with LeBron during a particular year, because I obviously didn't watch all the Cleveland Cavalier games in 2011, or I'm sorry, 2010 or 2009. But with him being a Laker, I've watched probably 99% of those, so it's a little easier for me. The enjoyment for me is there's going to be some discussions that I know are wrong. I know that there are those out there that will say certain things and I know they're wrong, and the enjoyment is correcting them. Now, some don't like to be corrected. So now this is where the entertainment part comes onto the show. If you don't want to be corrected when you're wrong, then you're going to hear a louder bullhorn from me, because you need to understand when you're wrong, you need to shut up and listen to the right. So, for example, wasn't on the show, but yesterday I had a discussion online about the Celtics Lakers teams of the 80s. Folks, okay. I know that decade of basketball like I know my children. Okay? You cannot, and mind you, I was a kid during that time, but I've studied that decade more than I studied any history or math or English class. So some schmuck was sitting there going, the Lakers won in 1981 and in 1986. I'm like, no, they didn't win in 81, you fucking moron. I put it in, the stars. I didn't actually write F, because now people can, make a complaint on you on Facebook. And I had to write 80, 82, 85, 87, 88. The Celtics won in 81, 84, 86. The only 2 years out of that decade that wasn't a Lakers-Celtic win was the 83 Sixers and the 89 Pistons. However, every finals matchup had either the Celtics or the Lakers in the finals. You had two dynasties in that era. The Boston Celtics, whom arguably had the best team of that decade in 1986. They won 40 games at home, won all the games at home in the playoffs. They lost one home game. One home game. That entire 86 season. They had a six-man of the year, Bill Walton. They had an MVP, Larry Bird. And, of course, you had McHale and Parrish at their peak. That is arguably the best, and they beat Houston in 6 against a team that whooped the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Ralph Sampson was kryptonite to the Lakers, right? So if you're going to sit there and you're going to yap, you better come with something. You got to come with something, folks. We know what we're talking about here. And if you're going to downgrade championships, you're going to downgrade people's careers, you better have the info. But how do you get lucky winning a championship?
That's crazy.
You don't have any idea what you have to do to win a championship in today's. You have to win 16 games. How do you get lucky winning 16 games in the playoffs?
Wake up, loser statement. That's a loser statement.
Wake up.
Wake up, folks. Wake up, man.
So name the best team that never repeated but still won many championships.
Let me see here. Best team that never repeated but still.
Are you talking about in their history or during an era?
Never repeated but still won many championships.
I mean, in my time, it's the Spurs. But I never really – I would say the best Spurs team was the 2014 team.
Ooh, we're talking about what, young Kawhi and Danny Green?
That was the most lethal display of basketball fundamentals I've ever seen in the NBA.
Crazy. That was so crazy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they had that balance of the fundamentals, but Kawhi was still coming into it. He was like coming into his own. He was just like a raw.
That's a good one, Sean. Yes, 83 Sixers. They had Andrew Toney, who happened to have finally a healthy season that year. You had Mo Cheeks. You had Moses, obviously. You had Dr. J. You had Cunningham. You had a stacked team with a good coach. That was the perfect. It was the perfect season for them. Everything just went right. They had the perfect stars, the perfect role players, great coaching, all the momentum, all the confidence. They ended up going 9-1, I believe. It was 9-1 to win. Was it 4-4? Wait a minute. No, it's more than that. It was 12-1.
Got me. That 83 team got me beat by a couple years. I wasn't even born yet, Joe.
Well, again, I was in the 83. I was 5 years old, but I told you I've studied that decade for years. I'm very familiar with what happened during those years.
Absolutely, Joe. So I'm on board with you. I'm glad we're both on board with. Let's stop discrediting any championship, especially that bubble championship. But what I do want to get into, Joe, is a little bit of the Olympics. So I was having a conversation with one of my friends the other day about, who would be the starting five. Now, I know Kevin Durant is hurt right now, so he's not technically playing. So what I want to propose to you, Joe, and everybody in the chat is, I want you to give me two lineups. So give me a lineup that if there was no injuries with this current Team USA Olympics roster that we have, and then give me a lineup with like injuries. So basically, if you're not starting Kevin Durant, then I guess it wouldn't change a thing. But Kevin Durant is injured, so just know that. So Joe, give me two lineups, and if you're not ready, I could give you mine, and then I'd love to shoot the shit as to why you go with that lineup and reasons as to that, and everybody in the chat too.
Wow, that's a good question. I honestly, I would start with. He's not having a really good run right now, which is Steph Curry, other than one game. But he's Steph Curry; he can get hot and hit shots. I would put LeBron and Steph in the backcourt. Obviously, AD at center, and then just I don't really like anyone else at the 3 and the 4. It's not a really good constructed. It's not that the team wasn't constructed very well, and there's a lot of talent there. And I actually thought, okay, there's enough talent here where the talent will be overwhelming, but it hasn't, unless they've really like not focused enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to see them play when it counts, and then I'll know probably better.
Okay, I like that. I like it. So you wouldn't be starting Kevin Durant then?
I think Kevin Durant needs to just go home.
For
I don't think he's healthy.
okay,
He's not as bad as Kawhi, but he's pretty close. I'd say, okay, here. I'm going to answer your question. I'm sorry. I'm kind of deflecting from it. Here's what I would do. I'd put LeBron, Curry in the backcourt, Davis at the 5, Bam. You could put Bam at 5 or Davis at the 4. Both those guys up front. And then at small forward, you're going to have to get somebody that can actually shoot and shoot at a consistent level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part where there's no one really there on the team. I don't trust Anthony Edwards to shoot consistently. Jason Tatum has struggled to shoot consistently. It's just not a team that has that guy that if he's open, he's going to make shots. Durant isn't playing. He would be that guy, but he's not playing because he's injured. Or maybe Steve Kerr's holding him back for when it counts. And if that's the case and he's healthy enough to play, then you put Durant at the 3 or 4, well, just the 3, and spread that sucker out and make him pay on everything. Either LeBron gets to the hole or everybody collapses, and then you have Steph Curry and Durant waiting to just hit open shots. And then you got the 2 studs in the middle who can block everything and get alley-oops all day. So I want, if health permits, I want Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis, Durant, LeBron, and Steph Curry at the very least finishing those games.
Okay, I like that. My brother Meek in the building. Appreciate you, brother, for tapping in. But all right, Joe, I'm gonna give you 2 lineups here. Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 lineups because I'm gonna give you a lineup that has injuries, like Kevin Durant not being in it, and then one, let's say that Kevin Durant was fully healthy. So I'm gonna agree with you. Having that backcourt of LeBron and Curry, you just gotta have that. And I just think that sometimes like you can have Curry on ball, bringing the ball up court, and the gravity he's gonna pull is gonna be insane, and players are just gonna get open. Or you can even have LeBron James bringing the ball up court and have Curry more as like of that 2 guard, because as we know how great LeBron can be as a decision maker. So definitely want them in that backcourt. And again, if there were injuries were not a thing, I'm going with Kevin Durant at my 3, Anthony Davis at my 4, and Joel Embiid at my 5. And here's why. Now, I know that sounds like a big lineup, but the reason why I'm rocking with that is because Anthony Davis, he's versatile enough to where he's not going to get put on an island. And now it's like, oh man, now we're just going to get blown by. So he can come out, or he can be inside with Joel Embiid. We'd have these twin towers, and it kind of reminds me of when DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis played together. That was a team right there that I was surprised that did not do better than, injuries killed them, but they were so damn dominant. Like that front court duo was amazing, man. So that's who I'd rock with, right? Because there's no DeMarcus Cousins here. Let's pick an even better player with Joel Embiid. So no injuries. That's who I'm rocking with. But that's not reality. Reality is Kevin Durant is not here. And I think you brought up a great point. At that 3 slot, you need to have somebody who can consistently shoot. I have the same lineup of LeBron, Curry, AD, and Joel. But at my 3 slot, I was really struggling between Bam Adebayo and Jason Tatum. But I ended up going with Jason Tatum for the exact reason that you said. Is because like in these games that I've seen from Team USA, I feel like part of it is partially because they know they're so good. They don't come out with that intensity and that aggression that you need. But I also feel like sometimes I have just been, feel like where's that scoring punch? Like, and again, maybe it's because these guys know that second quarter, second half, they're going to be able to turn it up and turn it on at any point because that's how good they are. Okay, that's great. But I feel like it's just missing a scoring punch, and that consistent shooting threat from Jason Tatum would be killer, man. So those are my two lineups that I'm rocking with here. All right.
There's two things that I've noticed, and this is probably not a popular assessment, and it's towards both LeBron and Steph Curry, and it's gonna these are two players that have won a lot, right? They each have won 4 championships, and you have to delve in deep on this, otherwise. What did Jay do? Jay, what did you do? I wasn't even paying attention.
he basically just towed off that other guy, that Osmosis Jones guy.
Why? What did he say? What did Osmosis do? I didn't see anything that he did that was wrong.
Osmosis was just talking crazy, and I think him and Jay were just going at it.
Guys, if as long as it's not dropping N-bombs and things like that, let the guys cook a little. Come on, it's okay. Anyways, this could be a 4-hour discussion, but I'll keep it short. I'm not a fan. I was never a fan of the system that Steph Curry and LeBron James have played in their careers. Even though they've won a lot, it's a system that I think I believe they should have won more with their talents, and they didn't, because I think the system is, and we're seeing it right now. LeBron is Peyton Manning. I've said this several times on the Lakers Fast Break over the years, several times. And you might look at me and say, "What the hell are you talking about, Peyton Manning? Well, one of the greatest quarterbacks." Yes, he is. Absolutely, he's a machine. LeBron is a machine. But when you look at those who won more, there's a system that those guys run with their talents. And guys like LeBron and the Peyton Mannings and the Steph Currys, their system was always kind of geared towards more of them. And the problem with that is when a system is not individualized, you have a better chance at not being burdened. And that's where I think a lot of times, you're seeing how Golden State is kind of withered away a little bit, even though Steph Curry's still kind of in his prime. LeBron is still playing well. I wouldn't say he's in his prime, but he's still prime light. A lot of it is because the system isn't working. It's because it's too self-absorbed to those guys. You need a team to win consistently, to have enough energy year in and year out to win. But this is just not, I've never seen those two guys kind of have a system. It's been more Steph Curry's system and LeBron James's system. And looking at the Olympics right now, it's kind of the same. If Steph isn't hitting his shot and LeBron is making bad decisions, their teams collapse. And that's something it's always been there. I just never had a chance to really sit down and talk about it. And right now, even talking about it, it's not enough information. Someone listening to this will go, well, I don't understand what you're talking about, Joe. It's the details of the game. You look at Michael Jordan, you look at Kobe Bryant, you look at Shaquille O'Neal before Phil Jackson arrived. Why is it that, other than Shaq winning with Pat Riley, why was it that these guys couldn't win a championship until Phil Jackson arrived? Because you need to be coached sometimes. There needs to be a team concept. There needs to be someone that is taking care of the things that guys like Michael, guys like Kobe, guys like Shaq can't take care of. The psyche of the third player, the fifth player, the seventh player. Jordan gets all the credit for being the tyrant and keeping everybody in line. Yeah, there's some truth to that. But you're telling me that he wasn't keeping people in line when he was being coached by Doug Collins? I don't believe that. But when Phil came, brought in Tex Winter, Hamlin, and all those guys, they created a system that was unbeatable. And then he brought it again to LA. Why is it that these guys three-peated twice in Chicago? Why did the Lakers three-peat in LA as soon as Phil arrived? Well, Phil, of course, he's got a three-peat. He's got Michael Jordan, Pippen, and Kobe and Shaq. Oh, you really? Oh, okay. Well, why the hell weren't they winning before he got there? Not only is he winning, he's three-peating. It's a lot of detail. When we talk about the Lakers and the intricacies of any job, the details, the devil's in the details, right? That's what they say. They usually say that when it's something negative, if you're doing something bad, but you know what I mean. The point is the details, the extra work. What did I tell you guys last year? These guys need to practice hitting layups, being hit in practice. I would get one of those tackle dummies that they do in football and hit the guys while they're trying to hit a layup. Now, I'm not telling you to, clothesline them, but let them feel that contact over and over again when they're trying to get a layup, and get used to that contact and make those shots. The little things, work on the little things that you're making a mistake in, but you don't see that. Why? There's 100 reasons why. Too many prima donnas, coaches aren't good enough, whatever. But the Olympic team right now is set up in the worst possible way for Laker fans right now, because it's predicated on Anthony Davis and LeBron James taking the brunt of everything. And this, we were already concerned, even if they were playing limited minutes, that this still would be a rigorous time before training camp. And now they're actually playing hard. I mean, that last game LeBron played, I was just sitting there shaking my head like, man, LeBron is something else. Man. But when the game ended, I'm like, really?
Go rest.
Really? Really? LeBron is still having to do this, even on the Olympics? So, yeah, it's an interesting setup.
And I guess, to transition, Meek's question, he said, what are your thoughts on Steve Kerr's coaching as far as using the right players he has right now? That's my number one thought. Exactly what you just brought up, Joe. It's like, man, as a Lakers fan, it's just super unfortunate to see LeBron James and Anthony Davis get utilized so much. And it's super cool. And to see them taking over and them in limited minutes, like this is what it could be or whatnot. But to me, anytime I'm watching the Olympics and I see LeBron take a tumble, it's different. Because look, I'm only 25, but as I've gotten older, tumbles they hit different. They hit different. So I could only imagine how a tumble might feel if you're running into a professional athlete and you're 39 years old and we need you for the regular season. So honestly, when Kawhi Leonard dropped out, I was like, man, that's great for the Clippers nation. And if you're a Clippers fan, and now as a Lakers fan, I knew LeBron wasn't going to drop out because they had this whole vendetta where they got to win this year with the Olympics. But I just think that them relying so heavily on LeBron and Anthony Davis only hurts Laker Nation, and that's really my biggest takeaway on it. Meek, and then for also like J.Y. Hen, he mentioned the same thing, right? About are we concerned LeBron James and Anthony Davis getting used too much? And I absolutely am. And honestly, I feel like some of the players are probably telling Steve Kerr, like, yo, go ahead, use up all their juices. Because we talking about an older LeBron James and then an injury-prone Anthony Davis. This can our season, guys, can literally flip upside down the second that if something happens, right? Hopefully nothing happens. But our entire season that we're hoping on and banking on for this next season can be flipped upside down if something goes down. And exactly what Darren said, my brother, he said AD falls way too much. I agree, he falls way too much. And that's in the regular season. And now, in the Olympics, man, you play some of these teams where these guys, they ain't got nothing to lose. They ain't got nothing to lose, man. All they trying to do is beat USA. That's what their goal is. So they're playing hard. And when the teams are playing hard, man, that's one coming down on the one wrong ankle to go get a rebound could literally change everything. So
AD,
that's my thought.
AD falls so that he doesn't get stuck. He
Like
follows
a
the
soccer player.
he follows the momentum. Except for soccer players, fake injuries, like the babies they are. Um, yeah,
Joe.
it's a defense mechanism. Just so you guys
Yeah.
know.
Joe,
Yeah.
let's answer this. Let's answer this question that we got here. Appreciate that. That's PAFC underscore fan. Appreciate you. What's your opinion on Denver this year? So my opinion on Denver is I think that they're actually they're gonna miss KCP a lot, like a lot. Like I think that that's a piece that people are undermining. I think that he did a lot for them on the defensive end and provided them like really multiple options on the offensive end where he can go get a bucket himself. He could just play spot up shooting. He could do a lot. So I think him going to the Magic is great for him or whatnot. But I do think that Denver is still going to compete, right? Like I hear all this stuff about, oh, Denver's cooked, and I know like they brought in Russell Westbrook or whatnot. I mean, I don't think Russ Westbrook coming in to start. Like, yeah, if Russ Westbrook's coming in to start, then yeah, you're cooked. But why would they do that? They have a great starting lineup. They have it rolling. All you're adding is Russell Westbrook for a veteran to come off the bench to be, just a good OG to some of these young guys. And when he does come off the bench, Westbrook brings a different type of game, right? Like he's honestly a perfect player to come off the bench. The starting five is giving you one type of offense, one type of movement. Now you're getting Russell Westbrook, who's bringing a whole nother game plan to the table that now you got a game plan for. So, in my opinion, I think Denver is far from being cooked. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. Joe, you want to speak on Denver?
Yeah, Denver. Denver was up 20 plus in Game 7 at home. They should have won that game.
Yeah,
should have won it again this year. Honestly, we're not going to ever know if they would have beaten Boston. They were a worse matchup for Boston in terms of matchup because of Jokic. But the NBA, it's very difficult right now to repeat. It's just difficult. It's now going to continue to be difficult because as soon as you start winning, you start to lose guys because you can't pay them. Unless you're the Celtics, which that's kind of an anomaly because those guys are going to be selling, so they don't care. They're just throwing out contracts
left and right,
and increasing the value of the team. See, that's the funny thing about sports franchises these days. Where it used to be in any normal business, you limit your costs. In professional sports, you increase your costs, and it makes it quote unquote more valuable. At least, maybe not on paper, but at least to the people who are going to buy. I don't know why it's like that. Maybe I'm looking into it too much. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what I've noticed. So you're going to have a team that is going to have a $500 million payroll because of the tax. And you're going to have a team, or I should say a purchasing team, that's going to buy the Celtics and have to figure out, do you really want to spend $500 million a year on a salary? You got to be Bezos to do that, maybe. And even guys like Bezos or Elon Musk don't like losing $500 million a year on tax. Rich people don't like tax.
They hate tax.
That's why they go to
Dubai.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see the Nuggets win again. They'll be competitive. They'll be there. Whether they win or not, I'm not going to be surprised at either or.
Absolutely.
At least not every year. Yeah, they could hit their stride again this coming year, win it again, sure. But back-to-back championships, yeah, it's going to be tough.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat. Keep on these questions. I guarantee we will get to it. Right now we got 25 people in here, man. Appreciate everybody in here. Make sure you guys show love to the Clutch Talk channel, Lakers Corner channel, Lakers Fast Break channel. Show love to everybody that's in here, man. Appreciate you guys for dropping questions. Let me get to this question right here by Meek. Thank you, Meek, for the question. He said, "Do you guys think Philly will go far, especially with acquiring Paul George?" Man, I'm gonna drop actually an entire episode on Clutch Talk, probably this week about Paul George that I made. And look, this is this is what I'll say. I think that yes, you get better. You absolutely get better, because you're giving Joel Embiid probably one of his best pick and roll ball handlers to pair him up with. Right? It was people thought it was Ben Simmons. I never thought it was Ben Simmons. And then James Harden came. I was like, ooh, James Harden and Joel Embiid could work. This pick and roll tandem could work. And then that whole situation happened. And then Paul George now and Joel Embiid. Paul George is just one of those guys who he can just go get a bucket at any time on the court, but also he can fit a role for them, right? So you can have Paul George running those high pick and rolls with Joel Embiid. Or what would be even smarter, in my opinion, is still allow Tyrese Maxey to be on ball because, man, he is just as fast as a damn lightning bolt. You get him coming down court after a high pick and roll with Joel Embiid or even just a DHO at the top of the key, you get him turning the corner, coming downhill. And if you can have players like Paul George, players like the additions that they've made, and Caleb Martin and Eric Gordon, these players who can be perimeter threats and force teams to decide, like, oh, are you gonna come help off Maxey, or are you gonna allow my 3-point shooters to just have a raining parade? So, as far as like, do they get better? Yeah, I do think they get better, but go far, right? Like, to me, if this team doesn't go to the Eastern Conference Finals, it was a fail, right? It was a fail. But also in that same vein, if you ask me, John, do you think the Philadelphia 76ers could beat the Boston Celtics? I would tell you no. So I think that they can go farther than what they've been doing, because they've been every single year second round exits. But I don't think that they can win a championship.
Subscriber, huh? Cool.
I don't think they can win a championship. That was cool. That was crazy. But I don't think they can win. Did anybody else hear that, or did I heard that?
Heard what?
Did you guys hear a subscriber button? No, you guys didn't hear it? Okay, sorry.
You heard it because you're connected directly to the
okay.
show.
Okay, I was about to say that's cool. But anyway,
whose voice was it?
It sounded like your voice, honestly, Joe. It just sounded. It was like.
Did he say cool at the end?
Yeah, it was like a subscriber. Cool. That's hilarious. All right, but long story short, yes, they get better with Paul George, but no, I don't think that they're going to be able to exceed expectations, because in my opinion, expectations is Eastern Conference Finals, and I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Celtics.
I like Nick Nurse.
I do, yeah.
I think if I had to pick a coach in the NBA, number one, it would be Nick Nurse. You just gave Nick Nurse a really, really valuable weapon, a number 3 guy after Maxey and Embiid. That makes sense. So if Embiid doesn't come up lame at the end of the year like he does year in and year out with the physical side, I can see the Philadelphia 76ers making a run. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add on that, Joe, or do you want to get to the next comment here?
Oh, I'm good. Go ahead and ask the questions. Go ahead.
Okay, Jay, I love this. Thank you for throwing me the alley-oop. Oh man, this dynasty is extra failed. And you know what makes me feel extra good about this, guys, is Paul George going to the 76ers and leaving the Clippers means that the Clippers fumbled SGA and 7 first-round draft picks, all because Kawhi didn't get his way and he couldn't go to LA. So he couldn't go to the real LA. He couldn't go to the Lakers. So he ended up going to the Clippers and then thought that they were going to come through and make this Clipper town. That was never going to freaking happen, guys. That's just never going to happen. This is always going to be Laker town. And it's funny because Paul George himself came out and said, like, oh yeah, it felt like I was playing on like the B team, and that's exactly what it is because they are the B team to the Lakers. But to give you my thought on it, my thought is like, yo, like they're screwed. I'm gonna be honest with you, like they're screwed because now any championship contention that they had is out the window. They don't have first round pick until 2030. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I think Kawhi Leonard before trade deadline will be traded. I think he'll be traded because what's the point of like being mediocre? If you keep Kawhi Leonard, you're gonna be mediocre. At this point, you got to go tank. You got to go tank so you can eventually do something because they don't have first round picks until 2030. They don't have a contending roster. And be honest, no player in the offseason is gonna say, "Ooh, I'm gonna go to the Los Angeles Clippers." So they're screwed. That's how I feel about it, Joe. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm on the opposite. I'm sad.
Really?
It's a sad time because it was a what could have been moment. Kawhi Leonard, all he had to do was sign with the Lakers. That's all he had to do. He had a max contract. He'd be in LA. He signs with the Lakers. The rigors of the NBA season would have been drastically limited for him. And he would have consequently helped LeBron and AD too. Imagine Kawhi Leonard being fresh at the end of the year in and year out. Imagine what that guy would have done for the Lakers in 2021, 2022, 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers for sure would have won 2 during this era, their LeBron AD era, right? Possibly 3. And we would have seen a Lakers-Boston final for sure, at least twice. That, to me, is the thoughts I have. It was that close, and it would have benefited everyone. Kawhi would have had 4 championships at least, maybe 5. LeBron, his stats go to a different level. His greatest level goes up. AD is sitting there probably maybe with a finals MVP too. It was a reminder of Uncle Dennis screwing his nephew into being a multiple champion on the greatest basketball team that's ever been put on this planet. Those are the things I thought about. And for what? So that you can go play for the Clippers, so you can have your own identity. Guys,
silly goose.
The Clippers have had a multi-billionaire who's very enthusiastic, who's very positive, not a racist piece of shit, none of those things, okay? And they still suck.
Ass.
Exactly. So what do you want me to say? What the hell have we said for 5 years? You all keep telling me, and I'm not saying everyone in the chat or you, John, or Gerald. There's a group out there. Every time the Clippers would get a trade, James Harden would come. They'd go on a 10-game winning streak. Oh my God, the Clippers are coming. Oh my God, I can't imagine them winning. And I'm just sitting there going, shut up. They ain't gonna win shit. And what happened? Not because I didn't think they would win. It just never made sense. It never made sense. After they blew the 3-1 lead against Denver in 2020, I said, these guys will never smell the finals. Joe, you're just a hater, and you're not understanding that the Clippers are the new team in town. I go, motherfucker, you don't even. Really? You really just came to me with that? Really? This is the Clipper town? I'm not even going to justify that comment. I'm not going to sit here and name off stats and banners. I'm just going to look at you in the face and go, you are a moron if you think that way. You are a complete moron. I have no respect for your intelligence at all. That makes 0 sense. That makes no sense. What exactly do they own in LA?
Literally nothing.
They own nothing. They're not even in LA anymore. They're in Inglewood.
You know what's funny? Remember when they were really trying to market that, Joe, when they were really like, oh, like new king in town, and Kawhi had that commercial where he's riding in that drop top or whatever, and he has a little Kawhi little air freshener thing. That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous.
It's laughable. It's not. You're not going to be right all the time. There is some homerism in this business. Most of the time when we were wrong, it was it was always geared towards the Lakers winning or the Celtics losing, because we can't cheer for the Celtics to win. We can't cheer against the Lakers, even if they're playing against Denver and they're formidable. I don't know what else to tell anybody other than we know what we're talking about. We've watched enough basketball. There's a pulse that we have, that we know, not 100%, but pretty damn close. So if you're going to ask us questions about what do you think is going to happen this year with the Lakers, I want you all to pay attention to the details. This is a talent-ridden league. You win it with talent. You win with good strategy, good execution, smart, all those things. When you don't do those things, you make it much harder for you to win. It doesn't matter who's on the team. You have two great players on the team still, and yet they're not winning. Last year, we were wrong. Back again to the homerism of it, right? I've flipped it, guys. I'm done doing the homer stuff. I said last year that if LeBron and AD are healthy all year and the Lakers start hitting their threes, they're going to be a problem. You know what happened, folks? Both AD and LeBron were healthy all year, and they had one of their players break the all-time team record for threes, and they still sucked ass. So what do you want me to say now? Oh, and this offseason, you didn't enhance the team in any way other than a rookie that's going to be coming in. And it's not right to put all that pressure on a rookie. That's just not realistic either. They didn't improve the team at all. And you want me to think that this is going to be different? Oh, we got J.J. Redick instead of Darvin Ham. Well, Darvin Ham sucked, Joe. We should have won 5 more games if we had a better coach. I go, what makes you think J.J. Redick's going to be a good coach? What has he done that's going to prove to you that he's going to be this savant? Because I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you don't think that an NBA ego is going to play a part in this, the first time J.J. Redick tells somebody in practice, you suck ass, get back on defense, you're in denial. Oh, and it better not be off a 5-game losing streak either. J.J. Redick does not have that cachet. Phil Jackson back in the day could say that and get away with it. Pat Riley could get away with it. Steve Kerr could get away with it, although I don't know if he does that kind of stuff. You got to have the credibility to be able to do that kind of stuff. Otherwise, you're toast.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, JJ does he does not have that credibility. I do think, and like to your point, like you're right. JJ hasn't done anything to show us like that he'll be able to be that good coach. But I'm going to be honest with you. The good thing about the bottom is you can't get any worse than the bottom. And Darvin Ham was just so bad, like so bad, like genuinely. You've been watching Lakers longer than me, Joe. You know, of course, I've only had 25 years on this earth, but I have watched every single Lakers game since probably around like 2010, 2011. And probably I literally have not missed a game. And what I will tell you is I've never seen a coach worse than Darvin Ham this last season. And that takes a lot into account. I'm talking about like Byron Scott. I'm talking about Luke Walton. I'm talking about Mike D'Antoni. Like that was a really bad coaching job. So that's my thought on that. Do you have something to say, Joe? Because I saw you came off mute.
Well, yeah. The reason why he is the worst out of the bunch is because they've had Anthony Davis and LeBron James, who are still all NBA players, who are very, very, very good to great right now.
Yeah,
Byron
understood.
Scott, Luke Walton, when they were coaching, they weren't good either, but they also didn't have the teams. Their teams were horrid. Mike Brown did coach, in my opinion, very well, but he had a really good, I'm not a big assistant coach guy, but he did have a really good season in 2012 in terms of coaching. Some will argue against that. And this is on record where I blame Kobe and Pau Gasol for the loss in 2012 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. There were a lot of bad decisions made by both at the end of games that ended up making them lose that series. And it wasn't Mike Brown. Mike Brown put him in a good position, and Kobe and Powell did not play well. Kobe had two really bad series in his career, in my book. One was 2004, obviously, in the finals against the Pistons, and the other was the divisional round against the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2012. Some have said that 2011 wasn't a good one, but I kind of give him a little bit of reprieve on that one because his knee was bone on bone in that series. By the end of that year, he was finished, and Pau Gasol was mentally done. There was some stuff going on behind the scenes with the team, rumors of certain things going on. Everybody was mentally drained. That was, they were trying to make their fourth final. And again, folks, the difference between making your fourth straight final in the West versus your fourth straight final in the East was completely different, especially at that time. And those are things that matter, folks. Competition matters. And since 1998, when the Bulls won their last championship, up until this year, I hadn't seen a East team dominate. Really, really dominate. There was always, even as good as those Miami teams were when they were winning, they had to go 7. This last year, the Boston Celtics were the first East team that dominated from regular season through every series in the playoffs. Absolutely annihilated everybody. Yes, I know that there was significant injuries in each series, but that's not their problem.
Play who's in front of you.
Play who's in front of you. They made clutch shots. They made the perfect play at the perfect time. That's how you win championships.
Absolutely.
You can't sit there and go, oh, well, if it wasn't for this turnover. No. One play out of 50 in a game? No. That just happened to be an even better play because of the fact that it happened after all the other stuff that's happened, the other 49 plays. So this was the first since 1998 where you had a dominant East team from beginning to end. And those things matter in my book. Playing easy opponents, playing, I don't know, players are doubted, anointed great players when they're not. Yeah, I can. It's a detailed business. It's a detailed business, and the Lakers are not detailed. They're not paying attention to the details. Rob isn't capable of doing it. Jeannie is too busy doing things that have nothing to do with basketball. And until this team adds a couple legitimate talents that can help in their rotation, this team is going to struggle, and you will see.
Absolutely. And Joe, we have been here for an hour and 30 minutes. I've been enjoying myself. And if the people want to keep asking questions. We'll get to this one right here, and then there's no more. We can wrap up. But if you guys want to keep going. But Joe, I don't have too much to say on this, but Endgame. Oh, also Endgame. By the way, we already talked about Team USA earlier, and just like how Gerald said, there will be a lot of content on the Lakers Fast Break page all week about Team USA, so you can tune in for that. But your other question was opinion on people shaming Tatum. I mean, just think it's like some of it. I do think it's self-inflicted because I do feel like some things he does is a little bit cringy. But then again, at the same time, it's just like, hey, man, like, what I thought about is like people were making fun of his celebrations or whatnot. But one thing that I thought about is like, dude, like he's just living out his dream. He really living out his dream. Like he's 1 year older than me. He's 26 years old, which is wild. It makes me feel like an absolute failure in life. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the fact that people shaming Jason Tatum, and I was like, dude, like he's a year older than me, and like this was his dream. Like everyone's had little, black top dreams of making the NBA, and now he's like winning a championship. Like let the man live. So that's the way I feel about it.
Well, you heard me say what I think about those who criticize champions.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually coming from losers.
Yeah,
Jason
absolutely.
Tatum is a good teammate, a good player. There's never been not even a hint of an issue with Jaylen Brown. There's never been a hint of an issue with management. Nothing. This guy plays his butt off, so he's not conventional in his celebration. And the fact that he was being criticized while celebrating at the podium, saying, "Oh, he looks like he's sad that he's not getting the Finals MVP." Which,
That
by
was
the way,
crazy.
folks, people were pulling that out of their rear end. He looked nothing like anything like that. He looked like he was in shock. He looked like he was trying to absorb what happened. All that hard work, all those failures the last 5 years came to this moment where they won. And yet you have these troll loser assholes criticizing him, saying things that he's doing how do you know that's what he's doing? What are you guys, mind readers? So it goes to show you they're gonna criticize anyone and anything. And I hope that Jason Tatum doesn't turn into Giannis. He doesn't turn into Kevin Durant, because Giannis right now is going down the Kevin Durant path right now. You could
Being
see
the prima donna.
the public is starting to wear on him. The constant criticisms. Durant got destroyed that first year in Golden State. His attitude, the burner accounts, it affected him. He changed. His personality changed. He's been this kind of like a Karen since.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because I really enjoyed Kevin Durant's aura. I wish he had just went to management. I wish he had just went to Presti and said, "Look, dude, I do like Russell Westbrook, but I need somebody else here. I'll stay here, but we have to figure out a way to get somebody for Russell Westbrook that is more in tune with what we need to do here so we can win." Instead, he went to Golden State and ended up destroying his personality, which was a really good one before then.
Absolutely destroyed it, and his legacy, in my opinion. But yeah, Blue Magic, salute to you, my brother. Joe, we have got into a lot. We have talked about Olympics, talked about Austin Rivers and him saying the window is still open. We got into everything from the chat. Joe, we've had a great stream. For everybody that's been out here, man, appreciate you guys. We're gonna keep doing this a lot more, man. On the Lakers Fast Break page, on Clutch Talk page, Lakers Corner. Just come out, support. We're just gonna have a good hangout, just talking basketball, man. But Joe, I appreciate you so much for coming on and joining me here. I was supposed to have another guest. I ain't gonna lie, and then he said he couldn't get on, and then just stopped trying. I guess I don't know. But Joe, more of the story is you saved the day, like always. And I appreciate you, Joe.
You find life is always going to throw certain things your way that's not comfortable, right? Yeah. I'm not comfortable right now, which is why you're only hearing my voice. I'm mobile. But you got to make things happen.
Damn right.
Even if it's as minute as a podcast that only has 1,800 or so subs. It's Joe Rogan was doing his show with hardly any listeners for 5 years. He didn't give a damn. He said, they listen, If they don't, they don't. Now he's the podcast king. He's the Howard Stern of podcasts. And we need to be the voice of either the Lakers or the voice of common sense. The Lakers is the avenue. It's a good avenue because it's a very popular entity in the world, right? People say, "Why am I going to listen to LeBron James? Why am I going to listen to this actor?" I go, "You're already listening to LeBron James, and you already listened to whoever the actor is, you're already coming back and, telling us you're listening to them. If you don't like what someone says and yet you keep advertising it, that means they got you by the nuts and that they've already done their job. We've discussed on this show how I don't want to watch this. I didn't want to watch this year. I really didn't. I was fed up because they showed us that they're not focused on winning. They're focused on a reunion. They're focused on some kind of reality TV BS. But the audience, which is what this is all about, I would never be on here unless there was an audience that wanted to listen to what we're talking about. They asked me off air, politely, please don't go. How am I going to go now? That's what it's about. That's the validation for things like this. If somebody wants to listen to you, just like when I talk about work, if you ever meet someone who wants to work, I don't give a damn if you don't even, if you sweep high school, your nearby high school. That's your job. You're a janitor. I don't care what you do. If you run into anybody that wants to work, go find them a job. I guarantee you will see the benefit down the road. Life it's not going to be, oh, well, my internet is not working. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, don't you have a cell phone? Yeah. Turn your freaking cell phone on, you moron. Don't you have headphones?
Make it happen.
Yeah. Put your damn headphones on.
You're hella funny.
Okay,
Joe.
Guys. It's a bunch of rambling crap, right? But it's important to understand because entitlement is everyone. It's not just the rich and the privileged. Everybody gets comfortable, right? I'm going to tell you right now, Johnny, I got comfortable about a year and a half ago.
And then what happened?
I went against all my mentors. I had such a good business year in 2022. Okay. I was sitting there with my feet on the table going, oh, yeah. All proud of myself indirectly, right? Uh-huh. Guess what happened between January 2023 and April 2024?
Took a tumble.
I lost 4 months of work because of the rain. I can't stop the rain. I'm not God. I can't stop the rain. Okay? And I can't work in the rain in my business. Now, I've recovered. I'm fine. And I would have been fine. But what happened was it was a warning. It was a warning. Joe, what did your mentor say your whole life? When you get comfortable, start worrying. Why? Because as simple as I'm going to get on this show and all of a sudden your headphones don't work and you're like, I don't want to go on there. You don't have a backup headphones. You don't have a second backup for the headphones. You don't have a backup for your internet. You don't have any of this stuff. That's what you do when things screw up. You have to think about the next time. Well, next time I'm not going to have to worry about this because this is what's going to happen. Right now, I wasn't on the show for 3 days. People thought I left. So now I'm like, well, Johnny's on. I'm going to make sure I'm on because people have been talking. They're like, hey, man, where's Joe? We're glad you have what Darren said. We're glad to have you back. I'm like, when the hell did I leave?
Joe, everyone's saying you're giving some fire life advice.
I'm saying because you started the spark. You had somebody that was supposed to be with you.
I did.
And I'm listening to this and I got 5 people calling me on my phone, texting me, Joe, something. I'm like, hang on, man. I'm talking to my boy. Relax. You guys had me for 9 hours today. Now it's John Costa's time.
Straight up.
You make time, folks. You make time. You live up to your commitments. And if something screws up, that happens. I get it. But I'm not going to buy it the second or third time. You have to have backups. So that's it. No. Get your shit together, folks. Stop blaming people. Okay? The boogeyman is fake. The boogeyman is fake. No one's keeping you down. You are keeping you down. And stop talking about bubble championships. If you're a loser, if you're a loser,
if you're a loser,
you're a loser, and you're talking about somebody who won and discrediting it, you look even like a bigger loser.
Absolutely.
Now, if LeBron James came out and said, "Hey, I don't really count this championship," all right, well, that's
different.
LeBron's. Yeah, all right, well, then I guess I got to buy it.
Yeah, because he was there.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
And he was
I'm
the
not
main
gonna
guy.
buy. I'm not gonna buy when people who are sitting in their mother's basement saying the bubble ring doesn't count. But we already got into that, man. We already got into that earlier. Lakers University, my dog AJ in the building. Appreciate you, bro, for tuning in. We are about to hop off here. We almost been on here for about like 2 hours. But don't worry, because we will be back tomorrow, though. We will be back tomorrow with the Lakers Corner, with the Lakers Fast Break family, and we're going to have a special guest in the building, man. Appreciate everyone, Southern Comfort. Appreciate you tuning in. But for me, guys, I appreciate you guys being here in the chat. Appreciate you guys keeping it fun and interactive. I've had a great time. Like I said, man, we got into Olympics. We got into a little bit of Team USA's starting lineups, Lakers as always, and got into the chat, man. But I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And Joe, can I log out here, Joe? Can I hit the outro, Joe, or what?
It's your show. You end it how you want.
All right, family. We love you guys. Stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe to the Lakers Fast Break family, Lakers Fast Break. Make sure to subscribe to Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Appreciate you guys. And I'll be back tomorrow at 2:30 Pacific. If you are in Eastern, I think that's like 5:30 Eastern. But 2:30 Pacific tomorrow. I'll see everybody. Deuces.